I am 88 years old. I raised 4 children. I buried one husband and outloved another. I was a labor and delivery nurse for 34 years. I have held more life in these hands than I can count. And I am here to talk to you about sex. Now, before you laugh, before you scroll, before you go get your grandmother and say, look what this old woman is saying on the internet, sit down. 'Cause what I'm about to tell you is something your doctor won't say, your children don't want to hear, and nobody at your church is going to bring up at the potluck. But somebody has to say it. And at 88, I have nothing left to lose and everything worth giving. My name is Corrine Eloise Tatum, born in Natchez, Mississippi, 1936. And I want to tell you something that took me most of my life to say plainly. Your body does not stop wanting to be loved just because it gets old. Now, let me tell you what they do tell you about sex after 60. They tell you it slows down. They hand you a pamphlet. They say things like, intimacy can still be meaningful in that voice people use when they're really saying, lower your expectations, sweetheart. Your children look uncomfortable. Your doctors talk around it. Society shows you a television commercial for a pill and then cut straight to a couple holding hands on the porch. Like that's the whole story. That is not the whole story. Here's what nobody tells you. After 60, after the children are grown, after the performance anxiety of youth has finally burned itself out, after you stop worrying so much about what you look like and start paying attention to what you feel, sex can become something it never was when you were young. It can become honest. When I was 35, sex had too many other things living inside it. Insecurity, audition. Am I enough? Am I too much? Do I look right? Does he still want me? It was like trying to have a conversation in a room full of noise. By the time I was 65, the room had gotten quiet, and quiet is where the real thing lives. I want to use a metaphor because I need you to really hear this. You know how cast iron gets better with age? A brand new cast iron skillet that sticks. It's unpredictable. You have to fight it a little. But one that's been seasoned for decades. One that has absorbed years of cooking and heat and care, that skillet is something else entirely. It conducts heat evenly. It holds warmth long after the flame is gone. It only gets better the more it's used. That is an older body that has been loved well, seasoned, reliable, warm in a way that nothing new can manufacture. Now, I'm going to talk plainly because I was a nurse and plain talk saves lives. Things change. Yes. Physically, things change. Your hormones shift. Your body needs more time, more attention, more patience. Lubrication becomes a conversation habit. There is no shame in it. Medication affects desire. Talk to your doctor. Ask the direct question. Do not let them redirect you to a pamphlet. And here is the one nobody says out loud. Desire doesn't always arrive first anymore. Sometimes you have to invite it. When you were 25, desire knocked down the door. At 70, it might knock politely and wait to be let in. That is not absence. That is maturity. Let it in. Open the door. The feeling follows the reaching, not the other way around. That is not a weakness. That is simply how the body works now, and there is nothing wrong with it. My second husband, Robert, God rest him, he was 71 when we married. I was 68. People had opinions. People always have opinions about old black women who still want to live fully. They smile at you the way you smile at a child doing something sweet and slightly embarrassing. We did not care. What Robert and I had in 12 years of marriage was not what I had at 30. It was quieter. It was slower. It was, Lord, how do I say this? It was specific. We knew each other. Not performed versions of each other, the real ones, the ones with bad knees and old grief and morning stiffness and all the unfinished business of a long life. There is an intimacy in being fully known that young bodies in a hurry cannot access. You have to live long enough to stop hiding. And when two people stop hiding at the same time, that is something. Now I want to speak to those of you who are alone, because I know you're out there, widowed, divorced, never found the right person or found them and lost them. And you are sitting there thinking this conversation doesn't apply to you. It does. Your desire is not a problem to be managed. That is a sign that you are still here, still vital, still a full human being with a full human body. Touch matters at every age. Affection matters. Connection matters. And however you tend to those needs with a partner, with honest self-knowledge, with close physical friendship, you are not too old and you are not too much. I want to address something else plainly, because I was a nurse for 34 years and I watched people suffer from silence. STIs do not retire when you do. I cannot tell you how many people I watched in clinical settings who were shocked to be having this conversation at 65, 70, 75. Protection matters. Regular health conversations matter. The assumption that age makes you immune to anything is a dangerous one. Have the conversation with your doctor. Have the conversation with your partner. That is not unromantic. That is respect. Here's what I want you to leave with. Your longing is not embarrassing. It is not a phase you failed to grow out of. It is not something to apologize for in the dark. If your body is still reaching toward warmth, toward touch, toward closeness, toward the particular grace of being wanted and wanting in return, that is not your body confused about how old it is. That is your body telling you it is alive. I am 88. I have arthritis in both hands. I move slower than I used to. I take 6 medications, and I have exactly 0 patience left for wasted time. And I still believe in the body's capacity for joy. I still believe in warmth given freely between people who see each other clearly. I still believe that love, physical, present, specific love, is one of the ways God reminds us we are not just minds floating through the years. We are here in these bodies for whatever time we have. Don't let anyone, not your age, not your culture, not your church, not your children's discomfort, convince you to give that up before you're ready. You'll know when you're ready. Until then, live. I'm Corrine Eloise Tatum. Natchez, Mississippi, born 1936. And that is my testimony, not the cleaned up version. The real one. Go on now. Take care of yourselves. All of yourselves.